Throughout history, one notices two highly common forms of uprising against authority: the revolution and the rebellion. From a reactionary or a traditionalist point of view, I define the two thusly. Revolution is a progressive act, which seeks to use the power of the state to achieve its inevitably reformist goals. Revolutions always increase the direct power the state can exercise, whereas rebellion is a reactionary act. Rebellions are nearly always in defence of a certain way of life or aspect of living. The rebellion seeks the lessening of state power over a group, individual, or region. The great example of the two forms is the French Revolution and the Vendéan Revolt that challenged it. The revolution in France sought to end the centuries-old Capetian monarchy, noble privileges, and the dominance of the Catholic Church. The Vendéan rebels sought to uphold this traditional way of life by staging an uprising, and aristocrats fought alongside peasants even as the self-styled infernal columns of the Republic massacred them in their thousands. Colombian author Nicolas Gómez Dávila remarked that the Vendée uprising was the only political conflict that aroused his complete sympathy without troubling his reason. The distinction becomes more apparent the more one studies history. Even if no one else realises the difference between the terms, the reactionary does. For example, the military and civil uprising, which began the Spanish Civil War, was truly a rebellion, birthed by a republic willing to throw aside the Spanish tradition, primarily the traditions imbued with Catholicism that dated to the end of the Reconquista. As expected, legalist conservatives failed to conserve these traditions at the ballot box for more than one electoral period, and so such an uprising is comparable to the Vendéan one, even if it ended in absolutist dictatorship, which offends reactionary sensibilities just as much as revolutionary republics do. Furthermore, we can observe that since rebellions tend to be in defence of an already existing order, they are sensible in their scope, even if they stand no chance of military or political success. The opposite is true of revolutions, which are always founded on some ideal philosophical or political ambition, which cannot be realised, and anything which holds an ideal is a potential murderer. Something interesting to note is that revolutions nearly always follow a period of reform. Louis XVI, though perhaps only out of political necessity, undertook a period of reform that inflamed revolutionary passions among the bourgeoisie and ended in his execution. The Tsarist regime of Nicholas II stepped schizophrenically between orthodoxy and reform, although it was only the bona fide reformism of Alexander Kerensky that ended in a revolutionary Bolshevik coup. It's unlikely that such events would have taken place under the staunchly orthodox regime of Nicholas's predecessor, Alexander III, which was a response to the reformist regime of his own father, Alexander II, who met his end at the hands of a revolutionist bomb, put there by forces he helped to unleash with his reforms. Of course, defensive action is often the excuse given by revolutionaries as well. The Nazi takeover in Germany and the Ayatollah's takeover in Iran were both partly responses to the degeneration and licentiousness observed in either country as modern cultural practices swept in. But both were autocratic, bureaucratic, and saturated with modern political and philosophical practices. Even if the justification seems similar, we must never confuse a revolution for a rebellion. As a final note, remember that even the most futile rebellions are praiseworthy if they seek to defend a tradition or lessen the power of a central state. Even if it is justified, a revolution solves nothing.